Hello everyone, welcome to Redbus TS channel. In this video, we'll look at the Fall 2020 Midnight Regulatory Agenda that was published recently. I will look at the H1B changes, H4 EAD changes, and other changes related to F1, B1, and green card as well. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to our channel for getting regular updates. So this is the actual regulatory agenda that was actually published on reginfo.gov. We have actually filtered this. What you can see on the screen is basically the rule list for fall 2020 to 2020 for Department of Homeland Security. We've highlighted a couple of them, but there are a lot of them in this, right? So that's why we just highlighted a couple to show you that this is the latest one. Now, in terms of some background, right? Regulatory agenda is something that's published twice a year by the administration. Basically giving a list of items that are priority for them, what they plan to pursue in the next 6 months or so, or even longer ones. Yeah, and the reason now, the reason it's called Midnight Regulatory Agenda, in fall is because these are actually they would call it the last minute ones that are done during the lame duck period. And these are called midnight regulations. And basically the lame duck period is nothing but the period when the election results are out. And since that date until the new president will be sworn in, that period is called lame duck period. And the reason for that is the outgoing administration does not have an accountability for the actions that they take during this period. Basically because they know that they won't be in power starting from January 20th. So that's why they basically take a lot of actions which they're not accountable for. So that's why it's called lame duck period. And now if you look at in comparison, right, as you can see on the screen, fall 2016 versus fall 2020, we had when Obama was outgoing the president and Trump was coming in, and now you can see Trump going out of office and Biden coming in. So you can see the number of regulatory items are significantly higher. Just the active ones are over close to about 550 or close to 600 active regulations that are being pursued. Yeah, so it's pretty significant what will be done in this regulatory agenda. So in interest of our audience, we will only look at the aspects related to H1B and other visas that are primarily relevant for our audience. Yeah, you can look at this in the columbian.gw.edu for that details. Yeah. Now, in summary, these are the items that were removed from Spring. So what basically happens is there are a bunch of items that are proposed, and some of them, if they're not fulfilled, they keep moving from one agenda to another agenda, and some of them get removed. So what you see on the screen are the ones that are removed from Spring 2020 that did not make it into fall, like practical training reforming, right? They had ideas for changing the OPT, STEM OPT, that did not happen. And they also had integrity of unlawful presence provisions. So this was basically for setting the bar and things like that, right? How many years bar and all. So this one also did not make it. The USCIS fee changes did not make it because there is a court order in it. But also there are two items that are added in that were not in Spring. So that is updating the adjustment of status procedures, and other one is the registration requirement changes for H1B lottery. Yeah? So we look at all of these things in detail. And besides that, what you see here in the list now are the fall 2020 agenda items that are continued from Spring. So it could be strengthening H1B program, removal of H4 EAD, all these, right? So we will look at all of these things in detail. So that's what we will look at. Yeah. In interest of time, we will not go over every single one of these. We will only look at the ones that are actually relevant and prominent. Yeah. So the first item is the H1B, right? Strengthening the H1B non-immigrant visa classification program. So this one is basically aimed at changing the definition of H1B program to get the best and brightest, and change some of these employer-employee relationship, employment wages, all sorts of things, right? This was actually supposed to be published. This was in Spring, and eventually what happened was this was published as interim final rule, and the way it stands is the rule was actually published as interim final rule. It had all this 1 year approval changes and all of that. Some of you might know this, but eventually what happened was a lawsuit was filed on this, and the court, California court, actually issued an order cancelling that DHS did not follow the proper process. The reason is this was a significant change, and they did not show good cause exception to actually bypass the comment and notice period. Yeah? So that's why this was actually cancelled. Now DHS has to go back and follow the process now. So in looking at the way things are, it's too short of time for them to take action on this. The reason is they don't have enough time to actually go through the entire regulatory process. It can take anywhere from 6 months or even longer to go through all of these things. So that's why this is very unlikely that it'll actually make it before Trump leaves office. Yeah. So the second one is modification of registration requirements for petitioners seeking the cap subject H1B petitions. So this is nothing but the changing the process to to select candidates in the H1B lottery. Yeah. So this is what it is, and all they want in this is during the lottery. Currently, it's random selection. There is no logic. So you basically it's just like as good as lottery. There is no preference given to anybody. So just there is an order that first you do the regular quota, then master's quota. But now what they want to do is they want to change it to that the people with highest wage will get picked first, and then the lowest wage comes in the last. And their rationale is more wage is equal to more skill. Basically, that's what their assumption is in terms of DHS. So this is expected to be published in January, and the way where it stands is this was already published in Federal Register earlier this year, and comments period are closed now as well. So there is a currently, there are big concerns regarding healthcare professionals on level 1, level 2 wages, because if let's say, the state of situation is if you're a doctor working in in a rural location, you will not be paid a level 4 wage, even though you are really one of the highly skilled persons that is important for the visa type and everything, right? So this is a concern that are raised. So I don't know how they're going to fix this. So unless DHS addresses all of these concerns, there could be lawsuits on this, and this may not make it. But if this makes it through, this will be available for the H1B 2020 season, which is going to be starting early next year. So this is something to watch for. Trump may push for this. I will have to wait and see. Yeah. Now, in terms of the H4 visa related ones, the big one is H4 EAD removal. So this is something that's not new. This was This is basically based on H4 EAD rule that was created in 2015 by Obama during Obama period. The situation with this is this has been in regulatory agenda since spring, and the rule currently regulation removal has been stuck with OMB, Office of Management and Budget, for quite some time now. And where it stands is, in terms of court, is Save Jobs USA is the one who's challenging this, and they are asked for injunction as well to block H4EAD. The court has not really replied on the injunction, and DHS always told that they're going to remove the H4EAD, and they're working on this rule for quite some time now. So Trump administration have to actually go through the NPR, the public comments period, and all of these things. There are challenges that they are not able to justify from OMB side on removing this rule. So that's why this is basically now may or may not be a big priority for Trump administration. But again, we don't know what will happen, right? But bottom line, this will heavily depend on the court decision, right? So the incoming administration, basically Biden administration, will be very likely supporting this. The reason is this was actually created during Democratic period. Democrats like Obama and Biden period. So they would very likely support this bill, support this, not removing this. But on the other hand, they have been telling that they will remove this. So it's basically conflicting. So we'll have to wait and see how the court arguments come in, and what the courts come out with. So that will decide the fate of this. Yeah. So it's going to be, we'll have to wait and see. In terms of green card related changes, they want to change the adjustment of status procedures for efficient processing. So this is not new. They want to reduce the fraud filings, the concurrent filings, so that they reduce overall processing times. So this has been there for some time. Since fall 2018. Then again it was removed and again added back. So we don't have a lot of details on this. This is actually planned for September 2021. So this is also probably not going to be happening soon. This is probably something that Biden will take it up once he's in office. Yeah. Now, other one in terms of F1 visa are establishing a fixed time period. So the rationale for this is whenever somebody enters today, they are give F1 students especially, they actually are given something called D/S, duration of status. They do not have a dedicated or a fixed I-94 end date on that. So this is a big problem. What the current administration says is they're not able to track. There are a lot of F1 students who are stuck and who are staying illegally. So they want to make sure everybody are compliant, and they want to monitor all of these. It's for national security, and that's what they raise. And so there is a mistake on that. It's not the notice for proposed rule making. It's actually they want to publish the final rule in December. So this is already published and Federal Register, and it's a notice for comments period, and the comments period also closed. This is going to be a priority for Trump administration because they're in the last mile. But there are some issues there that has to be addressed. So this is a big one because it will actually add up a lot of burden for students, because currently they actually do not have to worry about go waiting for their status updates or going to USA every time they need an extension. All of these things, this is actually going to be a big problem for F1 students. But again, we'll have to see what the final rule looks like. Based on that, this will actually see how courts will take it up or not. If there will be lawsuits or not. So again, but if this makes it through, it's going to be a very big change. Yeah. So other items on the agenda item are B1, B2 regulations. So this one, they want to reduce the time, or they want to set limits for extensions and everything. Again, we don't have a lot of details here. So this is planned for December 2020. So we also want to collect biometrics for USCIS related activities. So they've actually published a rule on this. There's a lot of details on this. They want to get a lot of scans, and I mean it's crazy. The amount of things they're asking there. So I'm not sure how much of that will be accepted. There are a lot of comments given, so we'll have to wait and see what comes out of this. All in all, there are only few regulations that are very prominent from immigration standpoint that Trump administration might push in the last few days they have left. So we'll have to see how it comes out with the new administration, what they will come up with. Again, thank you for watching. Do subscribe for getting regular updates.